heard the name of the ship was the Albemarle, a regal vessel from the northern isles, making its way to the Inara Sea to trade in fairer climate. Have you been to the northern isles? Dreadfully cold waters there. The fish are all too quick and sharp, and the men are more quickly lured by the thought of some warm venison stew than by the song of a siren from the icy shoreline. Anyhow, allegedly all lives were lost, save a small handful. The wreckage settled off the rocky cliffs of the cape. What sorts of treasured things do you think they had aboard?
With a shipwreck like that, I can hardly imagine, Omnia.
Syrena, my dear, will you visit the site for me and harvest any precious gemstones and handcrafted things you may find? I would never pass up an opportunity to enrich my inventory. If anyone gives you any trouble at all, don't hesitate to do what you do best.
It would be my pleasure, ma'am.
Hello. You haven't heard anything about the shipwreck, have you? I've been asking just about everyone today. Well, I'm usually out in the spot where it happened, collecting. There's a beautiful stretch of dense reef out near the cape. But I had made a catch of lightning whelk earlier that morning, and I simply couldn't spare a minute before bringing them back to my shop and sharing them with my patrons. So naturally, I missed the whole event. What? You were on that ship? Please, spare no detail. Tell me everything. Whose fault was it? What happened? An unexpected tempest. Well, that's not very impressive. Those happen all the time. Are you sure it wasn't sung to its ruin by one of my sisters? Or maybe looted by pirates or something of the sort? No? An unexpected tempest it is then. I'm gonna forget you said anything. What brings you to my shop then today, dear survivor? Oh, your captain is wise to come looking for a replacement ship in the Hollow. My sisters and brothers are excellent woodworkers. The best of their kind, I might add. The shipsmiths that organize the trade and the construction treat them fairly too. Like the fearsome artisans they are. Every feature and carving they add to the beautiful behemoths they create is an extension of themselves. Your captain simply won't be disappointed. You'll be sailing on a dream in no time. I see. Many of my patrons purchase shells for comfort. I'm glad you found your way to my shop. I have just what you need. Occasionally, my patrons will purchase them to help ground themselves. A simple squeeze is all it takes to help you remember that your body is well and alive. Other times, if a shell features colors that remind someone of a favorite memory, they simply snatch it up right then and there and can't leave without it. I would be curious to know what memories my shells surface in your mind. I find no shame that you would purchase them for comfort. It's one of my favorite reasons to collect and to share them with others. I hope they'll be of special comfort to you after the shipwreck, if any unpleasant memories may surface as you go and test new waters with an unfamiliar crew. Yes, I would be just pleased to show you my collection. Do you have a particular kind of shell in mind that you would like to see? Any colors in particular? Any areas of origin? No? Well, I would be happy to start with items that I have a lot of in stock, and then we'll move our way to the more rare things that you may or may not get to see. But we'll find out. There are many shell collectors in Siren Hollow, but I think you'll find none have a collection so vast as mine. To start off my collection, let's take a look at our beautiful hard-shelled clams, also called quahog clams. It would be a shame to think these ordinary or simple in color. When you take a closer look, you find treasures of hues hidden inside their shells. This shell in particular has a rim that fades from a cream white into this beautiful violet color, and there are shades of orange on the inside. Did you know that these shells live an incredibly long time? Hundreds of years. So you'll see some of the shells that we have a little bit darker of a color, whereas others have a light, creamier color. And you can see they all have different interior colors as well. This one is a little bit more of this creamy brownish yellow color, whereas you have this one which looks a little bit more pure and white, but still has that shock of a beautiful light violet on the inside. The shell as well is similar, having the whiter outside, but then that gorgeous violet color underneath. These are just delightfully smooth and have a very durable outer shell. I've seen patrons actually purchase these specifically for the smooth, hard plane of the shell so that they can paint on them. They do make a perfect canvas, don't you think? And here's the last shell in our collection with a little bit of a darker gray exterior. Do any of these interest you so far? Anything I can help answer for you, help explain? Okay, you're interested in this one? Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely see where you're coming from. This is a beautiful shell, and the interior colors are just out of this world. I'll get this packaged up for you, and then we can move on to our next set of shells. We'll keep this off to the side in case there are any other shells you'd like to add. Next in the collection that I have to share with you are these Atlantic cockle shells. We have a large selection of these with many different colors on the outside, and all of them feature this signature beautiful stripe of pink on the interior. These are just so delightful to hold in the palm of your hand, and we have a different number of sizes for these, depending on what you'd be comfortable holding in your pocket. Many of the cockle shells come in this orange hue, but we also have some that are a little bit more speckled and brown, which was just such an amazing color to add to your collection. The interior of these have a little bit more of a purplish tone to them. Just reminds me of the most perfect hour of dusk. Here are a couple more options. You have some smaller shells here in that brownish orange color, as well as a lighter one, also with that pink on the inside. Just absolutely flawless. Here is a black cockle shell. The inside is very black too, and it reminds me of storm clouds cresting over the ocean. This is a beautiful shell to help mellow out your emotions. Not force yourself into feeling anything too bright and happy, but just ground you in exactly where you are. We also have this beautiful specimen, which is also around the middle in the color range and has a purplish pink stripe in the middle on this side. These just catch the light in such a beautiful way and are so iridescent. We also have some smaller cockle shells here. These are a little bit lighter in color, perfect for carrying your pocket if the ship is docked and you're going into town somewhere and you need something to give you a little bit of comfort but don't feel like carrying a full shell in your pocket just in case you need that space for other needs. Here's another one with a little bit more of a speckled pattern on the top, and there's the inside. And then finally, a small black cockle as well. Yeah, you're drawn to this one? Okay. Would you like the larger one as well to pair with it? Yes? Okay, wonderful. Any of these other shells catch your eye? You want to see this one again? Okay. At any point, if you see a shell that you need to think about and might come back to later, please feel free to do so. We can absolutely revisit any of the shells at any point. You're going to take this one too? Beautiful. I have a feeling if it wasn't you, someone else would have snatched it up at some point. Wrapped up for you. Okay, I'll put this package over by the other shell as well. Next on our list are my personal favorite, these oyster shells. Have you ever eaten an oyster? I hear they're a delicacy. It's not my usual fare, but maybe if cooked the right way, I would give it a chance. These oyster shells have such beautiful texture in their ridges. A little bit of ruffles towards the end, but as you'll see in other specimens I'll show you, others may be more smooth and more evened out. And this is my personal favorite for all these beautiful layers you can see on the side of the shell right here. I've always felt like these were just a little view into heaven with all of the iridescent and pearl colors that cascade across their surface. I absolutely adore them. I also find that whenever I go to a shipwreck and look for any precious things, rings or necklaces I find just sit perfectly right in the oyster shell on top of my dresser. I also have some shells in the collection that are a darker color, similar to what you've seen before. I tend to find the lighter oysters more often, and then a darker color like this is a little bit more rare. I do think they have beautiful contrast with one another. If you are looking for a little bit more unique of a palette, we also have this oyster shell that has some stormy grayish blues as well as yellowish tones on the inside as well. I think the colors are especially gorgeous, and you as the patron get to choose what colors you have in your personal collection. Knowing that your captain is looking for a new ship, you might not know what your quarters look like at the moment, but I can assure you Shells like these would look beautiful sitting up on your shelf. We have one that's a little bit more smooth here, a little bit smaller, for a similar purpose as the other shells. This is just such a stunning orange all around. A beautiful, rich color, still just as iridescent and beautiful as any of the others. It's truly up to your own personal preference. You're interested in this one? Oh. Well, I love that story. Absolutely. I'll put it off to the side so we don't forget about it. Here's a more smooth oyster shell. This one has more contrasted bits of black in it. Looks a little bit like salt and pepper. The inside also reflects the light so clearly. And it's a little bit more smooth. I always like to tell my patrons that these are especially helpful if you are applying a lotion or a salve to your body. You can put a little bit on the end and simply wipe it on. And it's such a perfect applicator tool for that purpose. I would definitely recommend it. Now this is one of the most stunning oyster shells I've found. While having a pure color is quite beautiful, having something with clashing, gorgeous hues of brown and black and silver is something you don't get all the time. This shell is a little bit wider for multiple different purposes and has beautiful texture and ridges on the back, as well as a rugged outer edge. I think this one would be just stunning to add to your own personal collection, don't you think? Yes? Oh, I'm pleased to think so. I will add it to your pile. See if I have anything else worth showing you. We do also have a smaller oyster shell here. This one complements these other two right here with the lighter shades. It has that iridescent outer edge. Yes? Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I love to hear it. I think these three will be wonderful together. I think that's it for our prized oysters. Do you see any more that you're interested in? Anything else you would like to know about these? Okay, wonderful. Beautiful. I'll add this to your collection as well. Arc shells are slightly more common, but have their purpose, of course. Whether you're baking a pastry that needs some inedible decoration, want to line a spare shelf with some beauty, they're excellent options. Please be sure to let me know if anything catches your eye. You're going to see colors we haven't seen before in the other shells, such as this rich dark brown. Here's a more orange color, a pure spotless white, another pure spotless white, a little bit more on the orange side. We also have this beautiful, beautiful arc shell with brownish orange colors that then fade into a lighter white around the edges. This arc shell is such a brilliant, warm gray. I think it's so comforting, and it's such an interesting find when usually I harvest these colors and these colors. You'd like this one? Okay, wonderful. I'll show you a couple more options. This also is very unique with an outer gray ring and then a little bit of that reddish brown and some black around that edge. Oh, this one too? Okay, beautiful. Here's a black arc shell. This has a very vivid, rich black, unlike some of the other shells that we've seen. Excellent choice. Okay. Now we have some smaller options. This lighter arc with a little bit of brown around the edge. And this beautifully smooth arc shell. Okay, wonderful. I think these three are an excellent selection. I love that you've picked one with a lighter tone, a medium tone, and then a darker tone. Okay. We'll get these all wrapped up for you as well. The sand dollar. Yes, of course this is for sale. I harvested this not more than 1 week ago. Are you interested in purchasing it? You want to get a closer look? The surface is nearly spotless, if I might say. Good, okay, absolutely. I would be happy to package that up for you as well. Perfect. And I will put this in your bag along with your clamshell. Next, we're going to move on to the scallops, which have my personal favorite color patterns to them. Here is one of our best, most brightest scallops in stock. We also have this scallop as well. And this one. This one as well. My personal favorite. And then this smaller, pure white scallop. I like to encourage patrons with these to just take in the scallops, see which colors agree with you, what you're most drawn to, and just make a visceral decision. Simply based on your own preferences. This one? Absolutely. Any of the others? This one as well. Okay, wonderful. I would also like to show you 2 turkey tail clamshells. Typically I show these with this collection as well just because of their coloring. These have such a marvelous shape. They're truly so unique. I rarely find them anymore these days. You'll take them both. Beautiful. I think that's a wonderful choice. Let me get these packaged up for you. Perfect. I'll add this to your collection as well. Next, I'll show you my lovely collection of Venus clams. These clams are extra soft, smooth, and round around the outer edges of the shell. The crossbarred Venus here is the star of our show. You won't find coloring like that in any other shell. We have 2 of them in stock today, if you're interested. I feel like the ridges on these look almost like a waffle knit style of fabric. I find that especially soothing when taking them out into the wild and using them to bring a little bit of peace and comfort to me. Oh, yes. I also snuck a tiger lucine in with this collection. This one. I think that's a beautiful reason. Absolutely. These 2 as well? Perfect. Okay. Any others from this collection? You like this one in the corner? Beautiful. Okay. Perfect. I'll put this with your other shells as well. Could I interest you in any moon rocks? We have quite a large collection of moon rocks. These are especially beautiful. Yes, absolutely. We have gorgeous larger stones, flat, smooth, smaller stones, and plenty of the littlest rocks that you could ever want. Yes? Okay, wonderful. From time to time, I may find shells near the shore that aren't whole. It could be a misfortune, depending on how you look at it. I think it's lovely to know that the other pieces of these shells are somewhere lost in the Inara Sea, or elsewhere, or being kept by another shell shop, simply because the broken piece was just as valuable and as beautiful as the whole thing. This is a piece of a lettered olive. And this is the last piece of a lightning whelk that I have in stock. Clearly not whole, but yet I still couldn't bear to leave it. You're interested in a shark tooth. Usually that's only for recurring customers, but as long as you promise you'll return to my shop, I can show you what I have in inventory. Well, first, I would like to show you this skate or shark egg casing. I think it's a very interesting find. It's also sometimes called the mermaid purse, which I think is quite fitting. Would you be interested in taking this home as well? No, you want to see the shark tooth? Okay. We have one left in stock. Here it is. It's a beautiful, dark black, which means that it's been in the ocean for many, many centuries. Many thousands of years, really. It's had time to soak in the minerals from the surrounding sediment wherever it lay in the ocean. This shark tooth is incredibly old and incredibly expensive. You'll buy it. Okay. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the real star of your purchase, knowing how ancient it is and how rare. I'll make sure this is extra safe for you. Well, will that be all for you then? I'm so glad you found what you were looking for here. Should your captain have any trouble finding a ship, you know where to come to. I would point you in the direction of the right people. But I trust I'll find a vessel fit for the seas. And I hope you find comfort with the shells that you've purchased. And the shark tooth. Don't lose the shark tooth. Thank you. We'll try not to steal too much from the wreck of your ship. But no promises. Syrena. Welcome back, darling. Did you find anything for me?
Of course, but there was trouble.
Trouble?
I wasn't the first there.
But you're okay.
For a treasure like that, I know how to get what I need.
Let's see what you found.